Hello and welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
Today we're going to be talking about 1974's The Teacher.
A movie that makes you wish you were homeschooled.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I'm 18. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Set it, knockers. This book ain't got no real poetry. Brenda, we're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
You could have been decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get us up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
If you haven't listened to this show before, on this podcast, Chris and I cover exploitation movies from the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and whenever we feel like it. So, The Teacher, Chris.
Yes.
1974. Budget, $65,000. In today's money, $314,000. Does it show?
Like a birthmark on an ass.
You're speechless. The tagline for this movie: after school, her lessons began with sex and ended in violence.
Once I saw it said eroded in violence. I'm like, wow, that's pretty descriptive. I can't see erode in violence.
Trivia for this movie. Ready?
Yeah.
It beats Van Nuys Boulevard, shot in 12 days.
Oh, cool.
12.
Yeah, because they have, what, 3 locations tops? One
Just
is
like I said about
utilized.
the budget.
Yeah.
Does it show?
No.
Oh, yes. I'm going to disagree. This definitely looks like it was filmed in 12 days. I do have to say, though, I've watched this movie a few times before, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's just so odd. It's like Malibu High-esque, in my opinion.
I enjoyed it a lot. You know what? I'll be honest. I'm going to go out on a limb, and you can knock me off that limb, but I enjoyed it more than My Tutor.
Yeah,
be quite
okay.
honest.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
it is a lot like My Tutor,
Yeah.
actually. It's like a more sinister My Tutor. And it's funny because they're almost exactly the same age.
Exactly.
He's 18, Bobby's 18.
Yeah.
And she's 28, I think, in this movie.
Yeah.
And she's 29 and or 28 in
Oh,
My
I
Tutor.
think she's 29.
Yeah.
Supposedly 29 according to her script.
A little bit of a different
Yeah.
play on this, though.
For me, I think the pacing in this was a lot better than My Tutor for some reason.
The only other trivia I have is that Angel Tompkins, who plays the teacher, Diane, was offered percentage points on the profits for this film, but turned it down in favor of payment up front.
Really?
Probably a wise decision.
Yeah.
So let's get into the crew here. Writer, director, producer, Howard Avedis. Credits himself, though, as Hikmet Avedis for his first 6 movies. He holds a Master of Arts in Cinema from USC. He also graduated from the London School of Film Technique with a BA. So he's actually a very well-trained filmmaker,
Yeah,
which really wouldn't tell from the production values of this movie or the line deliveries.
He knows the ropes and he chose to hang from them.
He speaks several languages, including French. Currently, him and his wife, Marlene Schmidt, who you'll hear about a little bit later, live in both Southern California and Paris, France.
Oh,
Hotel
cool.
Paradise is his first novel, and he is currently working on his second. And you know where I found out this information?
Please tell me.
From our good friend,
Oh.
Woody Anders. He wrote a bio for him.
Put a smile on my face already.
So here we go. A few of his movies. 1972, he directed a movie which we're going to cover at one point. If you like this movie, The Teacher, you're going to love his first movie. It's, I would say, as crazy as this one or crazier. And I actually think that the production values are better, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
1974, The Teacher. 1975, The Specialist. 1975, Dr. Minx. 1976, Scorchy. 1978, Texas Detour. Those are all his Hikmet Avedis. And then he switched to just Howard Avedis. A couple more movies. Last thing he directed was in 1987, but he's still around and he writes.
Oh, cool.
The music for this movie, which I thought was actually awesome. It's like,
It is.
I don't know how to explain it other than like you would think it would be porno music. It's like porno chase music.
I felt it was like background music at a mall. Like I'm walking down to Macy's and I smell the Mrs. Fields and I'm like, oh, that's awful. Then I hear the music. I'm like, oh, I'm at a mall. Cool.
It was by a man named Shorty Rogers, who passed away in Van Nuys in 1994 at the age of 70. But he played trumpet in lots of big bands in the 1940s, and he formed a jazz group called the Giants. Recorded a lot of albums for RCA. And here's where it gets interesting. Lots of TV and some movies he's recorded music for, such as 1959, Tarzan the Ape Man, 1968, The Mod Squad, 2 episodes of that, 1969, Gidget Grows Up, 1970, 20 episodes of The Partridge Family he scored.
Wow.
1974, The Teacher. 1976, 11 episodes of Starsky and Hutch. 1977, 6 episodes of Love Boat. My favorites that he did later on, 1981, the Looney Bugs Bunny movie. He did the music for it.
Oh, good for him.
He also did 1986, the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show.
Oh.
So he went into classic cartoons.
That's very cool.
The cinematographer, Alfred Taylor, really only other credit, he shot the movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is
really
a real
that's incredible
fun classic. I like the movie music from that movie.
Yeah,
which is the
Dickies. Yeah.
So let's get into the cast here. Angel Tompkins, Diane, the teacher.
Thank God.
Her bio is not by Woody Anders, but by a man named Gary Brumberg, who is giving Woody a run for his money. Beautiful California-born Angel Tompkins started her career out as a Chicago-area model before attempting an on-camera career in the late 60s. She made her major film debut as the seductive blonde who comes between husband and wife Elliot Gould and Brenda Vaccaro in the comedy I Love My Wife. An irreverent vehicle for Gould, Angel experienced almost Bo Derek-like attention as Gould's mistress and earned a Golden Globe nomination for Best Newcomer in the process.
No kidding.
The camera obviously loved her.
Yeah.
And she immediately went into a slew of projects. But the quality was nowhere to be found after such a promising start.
She just said yes to everything, I take it, right?
But the quality was nowhere to be found. Prime Cut, 1972. At least co-starred Gene Hackman and Lee Marvin with newcomer Sissy Spacek in a featured role, but it borderlined on trashy entertainment. Angel's Clara Belle character did warrant some attention when Playboy magazine features some news scenes in their pages. Little Cigars, 1973, has a minor cult following today, but it's no great shakes.
Little Cigars.
This guy, I told you, this guy gives Woody a run for his money. Yeah. Angel again played a mistress. Seems like a running theme.
Yeah.
This time a mobster's gal who joins a band of little people and robs banks and casinos, which sounds amazing.
A mob of little people and robs banks and casinos.
Such teasing sexploitation films as How to Seduce a Woman, 1974, and The Teacher, 1974, and violence-prone flicks, including The Dawn is Dead, 1973, The Farmer, 1977, and The Bees, 1978, did not help in the long run.
Anything that starts with "the" in those titles, I'm wary of. The Bees, The Farmer, something gets plowed in that film, I'm telling you. It's probably her.
Well, if this movie's any clue, I want to see that one where she's with a bunch of little people and robs banks. That sounds incredible.
So do the little people like standing to show the shoulders?
I'm hoping like she comes in a big overcoat and they like run out of her coat.
Like little ants with guns.
On TV, Angel played a season on the short-lived Search and showed up in scores of guest spots as either a fetching diversion or fetching part of the action in such shows as The Wild Wild West, Mannix, Policewoman, Task Force, Cop Killer, Part 1. What? Knight Rider, and Simon & Simon. She continued into the 80s, but her filming remained standard. Playing a stripper who divorces Charles Bronson in Murphy's Law, she made her last film appearances in 1989 with the action-filled Relentless and Crack House.
Those all sound like winners.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting, though. A dedicated SAG board member all these years, Angel's multiple attempts to run for the presidency have thus far been unsuccessful. Okay, so Angel Tompkins runs for the SAG presidency all the time and still does. And you know how she gets her name first on the ballot?
I can't be for her.
She just puts her name as Angel Tompkins, one word. So that starts with an A, and she's
here's
always
the
on the
top.
front of the presidential ballot.
See, that's so fucked.
One time she came in second. She lost out to William Daniels in November 1999.
Oh, well.
I love it how people would just be like, I don't know any of these people. Just pick the top.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so glad, by the way. So Chris didn't look up any of the trivia. Our new format, if we haven't said it before, is that Chris looks up a trivia and cast for one movie, I look up for the next, and the other person remains completely in the dark. Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad you don't know about this. Jay North, who plays Sean Roberts in this movie.
Yeah.
He is best known for being Dennis the Menace.
Oh, boy. How the mighty have fallen.
From his bio by Gary Brumberg, the same man who wrote Angel Tompkins.
So this is going to be a train wreck and crash course in grammar.
This, and now we talked about The Curse of the Crown.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh, heavy weighs
Ready
the crown.
for this.
Really? The jewel in the crown, if you will.
Uh-huh. Oh, by the way, this is a Crown International picture.
Yeah.
He found himself badly typecast, and efforts to forge ahead with film projects and other series work proved difficult. At first, things looked promising. He perpetuated his wholesome image with the family film Zebra in the Kitchen, 1965. And, more notably, the exotic adventure Maya, 1966, which spun off into a mildly popular TV series. But then all offers dried up. He went from top child star to has-been teen in only a few short years, and had a terrible time adjusting. Despite voicing the popular character Bam Bam in the animated series The Flintstones.
Really?
Yep. And other animated characters in the late 1960s, Jay all but disappeared, save for a few glimpses here and there. He went through years of personal turmoil and emotional anguish, divorces, drug experimentation, weight gain, before his recovery. Reportedly abused and mishandled during his peak years by on-set relatives and caretakers, Jay has since been instrumental in providing advice and counseling to other professional child-teen stars in the same boat. From time to time these days, Jay has been glimpsed at nostalgia conventions. He was going through a divorce with his wife, Kathleen Butcher, as this movie was in production. He basically kind of fell off a cliff after this movie. Literally.
Holy God. During production.
So this was Dennis the Menace from the black and white TV series. This is him.
Oh, wow.
Did you know that?
No. I didn't. His face looked, his eyes looked familiar. His face looked kind of like.
So that was kind of the attraction of this movie, is it's like Angel Tompkins and Dennis the Menace.
I get it.
Watch Dennis fuck his teacher.
Yeah. And meanwhile, he's getting, subpoenaed. He's getting served papers while he's, this girl's on top of him. Like, Mr. North, we got some papers here.
So he had 3 credits after The Teacher. 1980, Scout's Honor, where he played somebody called Grogan's dad. 1985, Wild Wind. He played Captain Schofield. Then his last credit, 2003, Dickie Roberts, where he played himself.
Really?
Yeah.
The Dickie Roberts Child Star movie?
Yeah. He played himself.
Oh, cool.
As of 2009, he works as a correctional officer in Lake Butler, Florida. His personal quote, "Goodbye, Hollywood. Thanks for nothing." That's in 1999. That's the last anybody had heard of him before the Dickie Roberts appearance.
Oh, my God.
Anthony James, who plays Ralph, the crazy vet.
Oh, please be as good.
Bio by Woody Anders.
Ah! Back on track.
If you don't know who Woody Anders is, he has written, what did I say it was? 2,300 bios on IMDb.
Yeah.
I think he's actually a staff member. He is incredible. We love his bios. He's written them for Malibu High, the guy who directed Savage Streets, a bunch of good ones.
The guy I added on Facebook under the name Woody Anders, that is not him. I'm sorry. Disregard, disregard, disregard.
Character actor Anthony James was born on July 22nd, 1942 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Tall and lanky with a rough, pockmarked face, a lean, stringy build, greasy dark hair, and extremely edgy, intense screen presence.
A face for Hollywood, naturally.
James was often cast in westerns as really scary, sleazy, and disgusting villains. James was especially memorable as the hateful racist diner counterman in the outstanding In the Heat of the Night, 1967. Other noteworthy parts include a slimy gay hitchhiker in the cult classic Vanishing Point, 1971. A Wimpy Priest in The Culpeper Cattle Company, 1972. A Scuzzy Outlaw in High Plains Drifter, 1973. A Deranged Psycho in The Teacher, 1974.
Deranged Psycho.
A Creepy Chauffeur in The Spooky Haunted House Horror Chiller, Burnt Offerings, 1976. And the vicious leader of a gang of ferocious barbarians in the strictly so-so science fiction outing, Ravagers, 1979. James was hilarious in a rare change of pace in a good guy role as heroic cannibal in the amusing tongue-in-cheek post-nuke sci-fi romp World Gone Wild. Woody. Oh, he has a way with words.
I love him. I wish he would teach a class on movie
I think he probably does.
And he sounds like a professor because he's flawless in his delivery.
He was likewise funny, parodying his evil persona in The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, 1991. Among the many TV shows James did guest spots on are Married with Children, Beauty and the Beast, Star Trek The Next Generation, Simon & Simon, The A-Team, Riptide, The Fall Guy, Buck Rogers, Charlie's Angels, Starsky and Hutch, SWAT, Ironside, Hawaii Five-0, Bonanza, Gunsmoke, and The Big Valley. He did a lot of acting.
Illustrious.
He's actually pretty good in this movie.
Yeah, he's great.
His last appearance to date was as the mean owner of a seedy bordello in Clint Eastwood's critically acclaimed Western Unforgiven, 1992.
Oh, yeah, I recognize him.
After voluntarily quitting acting in the early 90s, Anthony James has since pursued a successful career as an artist. His paintings have been exhibited in galleries such as major cities as New York, Boston, and Miami.
I'm pretty sure I've probably seen one of those then.
He is probably the best actor in this movie.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get some of the actors in this movie because this movie gives Malibu High a run for its money on delivery.
It does.
Marlene Schmidt, Alice Roberts, Sean's mom. She's married to Howard Avedis. Remember how I said you'll hear Marlene Schmidt again?
Yeah.
Born in 1937 in Germany, fled East Germany in 1960. Became a $50 a week electronics engineer before entering a beauty contest and went on to win Miss Germany.
Good for her.
Then went on to win Miss Universe in 1961.
Even better.
2 credits. 1972, The Stepmother. 1974, The Teacher. And every Howard Avedis movie. So she's in every single one of them because she's his wife.
Yeah.
She's also produced a lot of movies with him. And they're still married.
Even better. That's fantastic.
So here we get the reception when this movie came out. So you got big hitter Jay North, Dennis the Menace, and Angel Tompkins.
I have to ask, was this film relegated to strictly drive-ins, or was this like a big theatrical?
No, not really a big one. It was, it's a Crown movie. What do you want?
Yeah, like you said, projections.
Drive-ins, I mean, seedy theaters here and there, sticky floors.
It was shown on the side of a school.
Although 22 years old during principal production, North was still largely known to audiences as the impish child he played 10 years before on the CBS family series Dennis the Menace.
Not good.
Prior to the release of the film, columnist Jack O'Brien reported of the vulgarity of North's first adult feature film. Quote, "Nice little Jay North has a bang-up role in The Teacher flick, an explicit porn scene with Angel Tompkins."
Oh, you mean that 5-second moaning and groaning that ends with eyes rolling to the back of his head? Yeah, so explicit.
Well,
I guess for its time. I mean, it's all back.
While not impressed with what he deemed to be a, quote, ludicrous storyline, Los Angeles Times critic Kevin Thomas expressed appreciation for the portrayal of the film's 2 lead characters, writing, "The plot of The Teacher isn't worth outlining, yet it develops a relationship between a 28-year-old woman and an 18-year-old high school boy with sensitivity and credibility unusual for an exploitation film. Avedis displays much concern for his people and allows Miss Tompkins and North plenty of room to give fresh, spontaneous performances."
I'll give it that.
So, before we get into the movie, the last thing I'm going to read to you is my favorite IMDb review of this movie. Now, I do have to tell you, there was a review by Woody Anders, but it wasn't 10 out of 10, so I didn't read it.
Really?
Yeah, this one's better.
Okay.
Title, Angel Rocks, 10 out of 10. Written July 5th, 2007. Agree with most of the posts that this is a cheesy production. However, Angel is the bomb. She is the best. I first became aware of her via Prime Cut with the great Lee Marvin. She has a very natural approach, and it really shows in this flick. In Cut, she played a trophy wife, however still hot for Lee and dressed the part. As for this flick, I also think that Med Flory played a funny role. I love drive-in flicks of the 1970s, about the time I was hitting them, and this one and PC are two of the best. It's weird, 30 plus, this is where it gets good. 30 plus years later, and I'm sitting at the edge of my seat waiting for Angel to unleash the rack.
The girls out, huh?
And that has 2 explanation points after that. Got it on DVD. Not sure what the other reviewer was talking about. Replied to a Ray love scene. I don't remember if that was in the original theatrical release. However, I do know that it's not on the DVD. I will pick up other flicks by Angel, and I wish I knew what she was doing now. It appears if she stopped working around 91.
Yeah.
So, the only part I liked was him waiting on the edge of his seat for Angel to unleash the rack.
The popcorn's in the microwave, cooling off.
Before we get into this movie, we've now delved into the Vietnam vet syndrome in exploitation movies.
Yes.
So there are a few of these movies in the 70s that would have these characters that were severely damaged by the Vietnam War. I remember this one for sure. And a movie called Don't Answer the Phone, which is about a Vietnam vet who comes back and he like starts calling this radio station and he's like becomes a strangler. And
oh, damn.
But there's a couple movies where they deal with the vet syndrome, so post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
And I would say this movie, it's different than any movie we've really watched. It's definitely not a comedy. It's more like Malibu High.
Yeah.
It's a very serious movie disguised as something completely different.
Yeah, the tone is all over the place. You don't know whether to relax and just enjoy it or to get tense up and go, oh shit, what's going to happen next? Because it's just...
It's a very tense movie.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad movie.
Not by any means.
But it's odd. And some of the dialogue is just insane. I don't know if I agree with the performances being good because most of the time Jay North just runs around screaming all his lines.
Yeah.
Like he's still on the set of Dennis the Menace or something. Angel's fine. The vet, he's great. Mm-hmm. That guy, awesome. My favorite person in this whole movie, though, is the dad. This guy.
Yeah. The voice of reason and everything.
His line delivery is, I think, the worst we've encountered in any movie so far. And that is including in Dangerous Men, when that waitress comes up and goes, Ed, I got you.
You think he's up to waitress status of Dangerous Men?
This guy.
I didn't think he was that bad.
I don't know. I feel like he's having a hard time getting through it. Like, every scene that he's in, he's like, oh, I'll tell you, wife, that damn kid of ours.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty bad, but it's like he goes, and the beer and the Coke.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think this movie, though, is fascinating.
Yeah. There was not one point where I was bored. Not one point where I was bored.
No, and
nothing
it moves
lull.
pretty quickly.
There's no lull, yeah.
And I will get into, there's a difference between this and the traditional Crown sex scene, for sure. In fact, the sex scenes in this movie, I think, are actually very uncomfortable, and I think they're intended to be that way. Mm-hmm. This movie doesn't really deal with the relationship as a good thing, I would say. Not like My Tutor. Mm-hmm. It's not glorified as much.
Yeah.
However,
it's not innocent in the least.
Characters handle situations in this movie incredibly bizarre.
Yeah.
Emotions are, I don't know how to explain them. It's so hard to put a finger on how these people feel and react to certain things.
The emotions, they use it as a crutch for pleasure. In other sense is the word.
Yeah, but I say, when we start to get into it, there's certain parts where I'm just very confused at why that was the reaction.
Yeah.
But I do think overall that Howard Avedis is a really talented, interesting filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I really want to do The Stepmother later. And I encourage anybody to watch this movie and definitely watch that movie because The Stepmother is arguably more insane than this movie, especially with the plot. So. Oh, and this movie, by the way, does have a plot. Loosely.
Yeah.
Something happens. So Crown should have taken notes. This is one of the older movies we've covered, by the way, too, 1974. So before we get into this movie, let's take a listen to the trailer.
Voted most popular by her male students.
She likes you. Come on, man. Give me a look.
Angel Tompkins is the teacher.
I've been your teacher for 3 years. Every time I ask you over, you just want to run away from me.
I tell you what, I'll have you race.
Okay.
All right, that's right. Shoes first, right? No, untie the laces. That's not fair.
Okay.
That's not
sure.
fair. Two.
Sure.
Shirts.
Gotta get the shorts.
Kiss me. Here.
Her best lessons were taught after class.
Have you ever made love before?
No.
Take off your shirt.
You sure?
I want to touch you. Would you like to do it again?
The teacher. She shouldn't have played favorites.
One more step and I'll shoot.
Well, come on in a minute. I'm not going to rape you.
Angel Tompkins is the teacher. She corrupted the youthful morality of an entire school. The teacher.
We open on the docks. Zoom in. We show a boat that says Diane on the side, which we'll get into who owns this boat and how narcissistic that really is. Yeah. Zoom into a small window in a warehouse. So I love this scene as it shows the boat. We pan over and then we zoom slowly into this warehouse where a crazy guy is smiling almost into the camera. He then closes the lid on a red coffin.
It's a red casket, actually, and it's very. It reminds me of like from Terminator 3, where he's loaded that casket up with stuff.
Yeah. So he's got a bunch of shit in there, and this is some hangout. I couldn't tell at first if he lived here or this is just where he hangs out.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he hears something, and he just runs away, sort of skips out of the warehouse, if you will. So when he runs, he just kind of goes, hey.
Hey, nothing to see. Just being a derelict. Don't worry about me.
But then he drives off.
In
then
the Ecto 1.
A car pulls up to the school. So we see a car pulling up, and yeah, he does drive the Ecto 1. He drives a hearse.
Yeah.
Which I was like, wait, is he like a funeral guy or something?
I thought
or does
he was
just
like
have a hearse?
I put my money on Gravedigger.
Gravedigger. You know, that would make sense, actually. It never says what this man does.
No.
So the creepy guy watches as the school bell rings. Then the amazing theme song for this movie and the title comes up.
It's gorgeous.
This theme song will play throughout the movie, and it is great.
Every boy needs a teacher to show him the way, to take him in hand and help him grow up a little each day. Lonely meadows are.
So the creepy guy watches as a student talks to this teacher. He's not happy about this. We come back, and he's just like real pissed about it. Then these two boys, one of them who's talking to the teacher, drive off on this motorcycle. The teacher seems to take a liking to one of the boys.
A very strong liking. One that you would not see in a regular...
Very open about it.
Yeah. You wouldn't see this outdoors.
As Chris has said before, you can see the lines of Megan's Law being written.
Mm-hmm.
The creepy guy does not like this. He's sitting in his car getting real upset. And if there's one thing about the creepy guy, which we'll find out his name in a little bit, he shows a lot of emotion in his face. He doesn't say many lines, but he certainly is happy and mad lots.
But I think his ability is far and above more. Well, say he puts on a better performance with no lines at all than anyone else in this film.
Yeah,
with the
he's the best actor in this movie.
Yeah.
So the teacher drives home. She gets out and she goes into the house. The creepy guy pulls up in his car and he watches for a while. And I mean for a while as in we cut and she comes back out and he's still there. And like it shows him like perk up when she walks out like, oh, she's back. All right. She gets in her car and she drives off. The creepy guy follows. And this is when I wrote he drives a hearse. It becomes very apparent that he drives a hearse. So he's following her wherever she's going. She notices, and then she pulls over at the dump, and then like pretends to hitchhike.
I didn't get that.
And he drives past, and she's like, I was like, wait a second. She knew he was following her. Mm-hmm. Then she goes out to like pretend to hitchhike to confront him. Why wouldn't she just stand in the road and be like, all right, let's go, stop the car?
Yeah, or I would just pull over like a gas station and call the cops.
Well, we'll find out in this movie that nobody just ever calls the cops.
No,
Maybe
never.
when they should. So the creepy guy drives past her. I wrote the chase music is great at this point. The music is always great in this movie. She now follows the creepy guy. But then she loses him. So he parks and runs over to his warehouse, where I put his hideout/home at this point. He goes all the way up to his little room again, which, by the way, every time somebody comes to this warehouse and they have to go up to the room, we see this, I'd say like a 2 or 3 minute sequence of them going up. Like, we have to show, they walk in the door, they walk up the stairs, they walk through a room, they walk out on a plank, like,
we need to illustrate the complexity of this warehouse. We cannot just say they're simply in the warehouse.
No. And I guess it's like some old factory or something.
Yeah.
And why there's a dock with boats here, who knows? He pulls out a pair of binoculars from his casket. He goes to the window. Okay, I love this part. He goes to the window and he starts spying on the teacher who's on a boat. The boat that named Diane. And this is where I thought it was weird. So these boats are parked in the ugliest harbor I've ever seen in my life. And all she does is drive 5 feet. She rides her boat maybe 10 feet from the dock.
Yeah.
And then sunbathes naked.
In the middle of whatever it was. Now here's another problem I have. Okay. She's a teacher. Did you see the car she drives? It is a nice car.
Corvette.
Yes.
And she has a
house. She has a house and a boat on a teacher's salary. She's doing more than just being a teacher.
Well, in 1974, we are paying those teachers too much. She can have a fucking boat.
Yeah.
This is such a My Tutor thing.
Every day this broad goes to the docks. She gets on a Diane boat named after herself. She goes out, she pulls out the tits, pulls out the wreck, sunbathes, and every day this creepy guy, he spies on her.
And you know how we know he likes the teacher? Well, best part, right next to him as he stares through these binoculars is a cutout picture. Like, not just like a picture of her. He cut out around her figure and taped it to the wall next to him. Just so he can get a second look, you know? Just so if anybody came up there, they'd be like, I wonder what he was doing. Oh.
Yeah. Now, did you notice, like, when she's in the boat putting on the lotion, it's clearly right before sundown.
Yeah, so, well, it's the end of the school day. And she went home to change. She always has time to change, by the way. Well, this will come into play later.
She's putting on some lotion for a day of tanning, which is not really be tan because you can clearly see the light from the reflector of the PA holding it.
Oh, yeah. There's that part where it shines real quick, you know?
Trying to make her seem as lit as possible. Like, that's how bright it is. But no, not after school.
Why even go on the boat at this point? Like, okay, where she is located, and if you're not going to watch this movie, I have to explain it to you.
Yeah.
It is literally where, like, a warehouse is probably running out shit into a water, like, source.
It is where you go to wear cement shoes.
Like, there is nothing nice around here. It's a bunch of tall warehouse buildings, which are probably blocking most of the sun anyways.
Yeah.
Why Angel doesn't just go out in a little bit further into the ocean, who knows?
Or a beach.
She goes 10 feet from the dock. 10 feet. Takes off her top, and it's like, there's so many other boats out here, by the way. Never see anyone getting them.
No.
Like you said, must all be the bombs.
Yeah.
But I bet the docking fees are very cheap over there. She gets into her swimsuit, but then the top comes off. Creepy guy, he's smiling. He likes this. He's all ready for it. She sunbathes topless, but then all of a sudden, that motorcycle with those 2 teenage boys pulls up. The creepy guy says, "Damn," and puts away his binoculars and runs away. So we watch as these 2 kids enter the warehouse. We learn their names are Lou and Sean. Apparently, we now find out that the creepy guy is Lou's brother, who's Sean's friend here. And Sean says he wants to go and that it's creepy there. And he says to Lou, if your brother finds us here, he'll kill us. Then they go and they find his room. And they walk all the way through the warehouse, all the way on that outside plank, all the way. This is the only boring parts of this movie is watching somebody go to this warehouse.
Run time.
Yes. And this is one of the longer Crown movies. Almost hits an hour 40 minutes. Almost.
93 minutes.
So they go into that creepy casket, and they find a pair of binoculars. There's also, like, guns and stuff in there. Like you said, it's the Schwarzenegger coffin from Terminator 3.
Yeah.
And they spy on the teacher in her boat. And I love this part. So Lou's looking through the binoculars, and Sean, in his amazing line deliveries, just goes like, "Lou, let me look. Lou, it's my turn. Lou." I'll play it right now, but these line deliveries.
Oh, man, what a body. Come on, man, let me look. Wait a minute. Oh, wow. Come on, Lou, it's my turn.
And then, this is great. Lou goes, "You know, my brother's made it with her." And Sean goes, "Your brother's a liar." He screams it. He's very upset about this. And he goes, "No, he sneaks out late at night when everyone else is asleep." Lou, I don't know if that means he's making it with her.
You know, my brother's made it with her. I'm not supposed to tell anybody. Your brother's a liar. No, I swear it. He sneaks out at night when everybody's sleeping and goes to her house. Did you ever see him? No, he told me. He's crazy. He probably dreamed it. No. She's horny ever since her old man left her.
Yeah, my brother's great. He has this creepy place near the docks where he goes and spies on this lady, but he also goes over to his house and has sex with her. Why he needs to spy on her, though, I don't know.
It's a fetish thing. You know, he wants to, in his mind, he's a hunter-gatherer. He likes to prey like an animal.
He doesn't want her to know, you know? So then we cut to the creepy guy, and he's holding like this huge bayonet as a knife. Like, he just took it off the end of a service rifle from World War II.
I have a feeling... The thing is, in this coffin, I have a feeling he's a gravedigger. I feel he grave robs, and this is where he gets all this shit.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Bayonet from World War II.
I really wish they would have explained what he does.
Like, fleshed out his background a bit more.
Yeah, because pretty much anybody who refers to him, they go like, "Oh, it's so-and-so," and they're like, "That guy, he's crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody should arrest him. Somebody should call the cops on that guy. Somebody should watch him."
Someone should tell us what the fuck is going on.
So it cuts to him. He's holding this huge bayonet, and he sneaks out to the two boys. That's when Lou, at first he goes like, he tells Sean, he's like, "You know, the teacher likes you." He's like, "What are you talking about, Lou?" And he's like, "What do you mean? She doesn't like me." And he's like, "No, yeah, you can make it with her." And he's like, "Oh, hey, I don't know about that."
She's got a thing for you. Come on, man, you're out of your mind.
I like how he's so reluctant to believe this.
He's like Bobby in Van Nuys Boulevard, which, by the way, finally a crowd movie where the main character is not named Bobby. When they're like, "You know, Moon likes you," and he's like, "What?" "I've only been hanging out with her for the past 2 days. What are you talking about?" So the creepy guy runs out and he yells, "Bastards!" And we find out his name is Ralph.
Yeah, R-A-L-F.
R-A-L-F. I didn't know that. I wrote it as P-H.
Oh, it's R-A-L-F. Another fact for you.
When he runs out and he yells "bastards," his brother, Lou, falls down off of this platform way up. We're talking like 50 feet in the air, and dies. And then Ralph looks at Sean and says, "You came up here to kill him. You stole my binoculars. I'm going to kill you." And then he tries to stab him, and Sean runs away. In the first 10 minutes of this movie, Sean's best friend dies by falling off a building because his brother. And his brother, who's crazy, now accuses Sean of doing it.
Tries to pin it on him. It makes you think, okay, oh my God. If I were Sean, I would just taken out Ralph too. Like, turn that bayonet on him. I'm like, you know what? Cut my losses. There's a lake over there.
If I was Sean, I'd just dive off.
I would have put Ralph in the coffin and then dragged the coffin at night into the ocean.
But Ralph has that big bayonet.
Yeah.
Well, Sean gets away. No. And like, I swear we watch him run out of the whole warehouse, like every scene, every shot.
Did he run like Steven Seagal, or was it just me? I don't remember.
He ran with his arms flying. Yeah. Could be. I didn't notice as much. I was laughing. Ralph gets really upset because Lou's dead, and he stabs the coffin, and he starts crying, and I just wrote, "This is all insane." For the first 10 minutes of a movie, this is insane. At first, you think this is just going to be like, oh yeah, some kids are going to spy on the teacher, one of them's going to fuck her. Yeah. No, let's throw a death in it the first 10 minutes, you know? So I say, real Malibu High-esque scenarios.
Very much. It's very bipolar.
Oh, yeah, you know because the next few scenes are... crazy.
We're gonna pop a Zoloft.
So Sean runs home. It's now dark. Okay, so his parents. This is where we get the introduction of my favorite character, which is the dad, where he goes, "Alice, bring in that dinner. I'm sick of waiting on that kid."
Hey, Alice,
Bring in that dinner, will you? I'm tired of waiting on that kid.
I can't believe you think his delivery is good.
I think it's fine. He's the curmudgeon father who's had a long day.
He's really trying to be that.
He wants his beer. He wants his dinner. He's waiting on the kid.
Alice, bring me a beer.
Yeah, straight to the moon.
His inflections are so odd. Like, it's very Christopher Walken, but like deadpan Christopher.
Yeah.
Like, well, I can't even say that because Christopher
is far from.
I don't
deadpan.
know. He's really bad. So the mom says something about how summer vacation just started. Take it easy on him, and Sean shows up and the dad's all upset. He's mad. He goes, "You were out. I saw you. You were out riding those damn motorbikes like a bat out of hell."
That reminds me of from the Beach Girls. You ain't riding them motorbikes.
Well. But isn't Mr. Sean Roberts? How nice of you to finally show up.
Why are you so late, honey?
You were supposed to come into the garage this afternoon to give me some of your precious time, remember?
Sorry, Dad, I forgot.
Yeah, you forgot. You also forgot I told you to stay off them street bikes.
Dad, I wasn't riding those street
Wait a minute. I saw you this afternoon behind Lou Gordon roaring down Main Street like a bat out of hell.
Sean, he gets all upset and he's not going to eat dinner and he just goes into his room. He starts changing, and then for some random reason... Now, was there a sound or something, or does he just randomly look out the window?
I thought he randomly looked out the window.
Yeah, because there's no thing that cues him. But so he's like... He goes to change his clothes for bedtime. Mm-hmm. You know, he's a long day. Might as well just go to sleep. Don't tell anybody what happened, you know? Let's just... maybe I'll wake up in the morning. It was all a bad dream, you know?
Well, yeah, because he tries to give his parents an alibi before he goes upstairs. He just like runs upstairs. So just like, this day has got to end. Fuck this day. Fuck this day.
My friend died. Let's just not mention anything, you know?
Yeah.
You know, any rational person at this point would be like, Mom, Dad, we need to call the police.
We need to get a lawyer.
You wouldn't believe what happened.
Yeah.
And they know a lawyer, by the way. We'll get into that. So Sean goes in the room. He changes, and for some reason, he looks out the window. And he pulls back the blinds, and Ralph's just standing there. It's like he knew he was there.
Staring.
He's just staring into the window. And he goes, which I guess the window is open, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he could hear him perfectly. And I was like, well, why didn't Ralph just grab him right here? Could have ended it real quick.
Yeah, or why couldn't Sean just like push him off the window?
Yeah.
Like,
so he goes, the sheriff is on his way. I didn't tell him anything, but if you do, I'll cut your tongue out. And he goes, with this. And he holds up the bayonet really slow. He's always got his big knife.
Yeah, see, he's at a disadvantage. He's hanging on a goddamn bedroom window. Take the bayonet. He's got one hand incapacitated. Just like take him out of this. Like take him out of life.
Well, yeah. What happens after this is he says that.
Yeah.
Sean just puts the blinds down and goes to bed.
Sleep. Like this will all go away the second I go to sleep.
This is supposed to be some dream, you know.
This is a bad dream.
I'm gonna wake up in the morning. It's gonna be great. Summer vacation, you know. I'll forget all about this.
Yeah, the title of "Wash My Friend Away."
My best friend's dead. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden the doorbell rings. And the sheriff comes in. And I love this part when the sheriff comes in and the dad's like, oh, hey, Lou, how you doing? How about a beer?
Yeah.
Sorry to bust in on you like this.
How you doing, Murph? Get you a beer?
You know I never drink on duty. I sure as I'll make up for it off.
So then all of a sudden the cop goes, you know, that kid Lou Gordon died. And the dad and the mom are just like, oh, that's a shame, really. Like you said, everybody, emotions are not handled well in this movie. So their son's best friend just died, and his parents' reaction are, well, gee, that's weird.
Well, that's out of the ordinary.
Huh. He died, huh? Well, man, I guess Sean's going to be kind of upset about it, but yeah, who knows?
Lou Gordon was found dead this afternoon.
What?
Lou Gordon?
Yeah.
Oh, how'd that happen?
Well, we don't know, but your son was seen with him, so...
So, Dad calls Sean out to the yard, but he doesn't come out. So the mom says, well, I'll go get him. So she goes to wake him up, and it takes forever. It's a good 5 minutes of her being like, Sean, are you asleep? And she like pulls off the covers, and it's like shaking him, and he's doing his act of like, oh, I'm asleep. I'm so dead tired. I'm like almost dead like Lou. And she tells him right there in the bed, she goes, hey, you know, Lou died.
I know. Like,
and
no, son, we need to talk.
Yeah. And his reaction, he's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even really say really. He's like, huh? Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's no sense of morose. There's no
Because there's
grieving.
that part when Lou dies, and Sean looks at Ralph and he goes, "You killed my best friend."
Yeah.
Or I would never kill him. He was my best friend. But in this part, he's just like, "Yeah, really? Yeah. Win some, you lose some, I guess."
Yeah. They come and they go, you know? What can I tell you?
We all go one day.
Sometimes off a warehouse. I mean, sometimes naturally, sometimes off a warehouse.
He goes outside with the sheriff. And I love this part as he walks outside and the sheriff starts this conversation off with a joke as he goes, "Hey, you in bed already, Sean? What, there nothing good to watch on TV?"
Yeah.
You're in bed early. Nothing good on television tonight, huh?
Everybody just kind of stares and then he goes like, "Oh, by the way, Sean, your friend Lou died. So, real tragedy." And then he goes, "So when'd you last see him?" And Sean's like, "Oh, we were going to the beach to look at some binoculars. Lou had something to show me." And he's like, "Oh, what do you want to show you?" "Oh, some binoculars." And then I like this where both the dad and the cop are like surprised about it. Like, "Binoculars? What?
Yeah.
What?"
What is this invention?
Like, oh, a clue.
No. Dust for fingerprints immediately.
The cop goes like, "Well, did he show him to you?" And then a music cue happens. And we see Ralph, who's now like appears behind the fence.
Bush. He's behind a bush. He's like not even a fence.
And he
He's
just
like
kind of like walks out with his bayonet like,
Yeah.
yeah. "I'm here, Sean."
I heard you talking.
And then Sean, he gets all scared and he goes, "No." "No, he didn't show me. We got in an argument. He dropped me off outside of town and I had to walk home." And the sheriff's like, "Guess I buy it." And he goes ahead and leaves. And then Sean goes back to bed, and the dad and the mom, we stay on them. And the dad says something like, "It sounds like me like Sean might not be telling the truth, Alice."
Jesus Christ.
And she's like, "What are you talking about? He seems so upset about it." And his dad goes,
I don't know, Alice. You do your best, but these kids nowadays are unpredictable.
God. If your best friend's assailant was lurking in a bush in plain sight and
he's right there
with a cop there.
Police officer.
Yeah.
He's right there.
Would you not have just pointed that out like, "Sir, there he is"?
By the way, there's only like 3 places where Ralph ever is.
Yeah.
Following the teacher, at his house where Lou lives,
Yeah.
or at this creepy warehouse.
Yeah.
Finding him is not going to be a problem. Or driving around in the town's only hearse. So then we cut to the teacher washing her legs with a hose.
I noticed that too. So I'm not the only one. It's like, you know what? Usually there's a shower for that.
Well, I thought she was going to wash the car,
So
but
did I.
then she's just washing her legs with a garden hose. And this is only some excuse, I guess, for Sean. He rides up on his bike, and he's like a 12-year-old, how he does this. He rides up and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" He brings over like this foil plate of food, and he's like, "Hey, my mom wants to know if you want to come over for lunch." And she's like, "Sure, but why don't you come on in a minute, Sean?" And his response is, "What?"
Yeah.
Like all surprised, like, uh-oh. If we find out one thing, it's Sean is very reluctant.
For no reason.
Well, I would be, because the next line from Diane is,
"Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
come on in a minute. I'm not going to rape you. I promise."
Well, come on in a minute. I'm not going to rape you. I promise. It's too early this morning.
I love that line.
Oh, my God.
She says it so matter-of-factly.
I know. It's like girl next to her like, "I'll rape you now."
Now let me ask you a question, Chris.
Yeah.
Is that a truthful statement?
No.
Because like I said, Sean is very reluctant.
Oh, my God. With good reason. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because in this movie, the relationship is handled much more taboo than My Tutor for sure.
Yeah.
And Sean is like a typical shy teenage boy when it comes down to an older woman coming on to him.
Yeah.
In the moment, it's not easy, I don't think.
Because this thing about My Tutor is that their relationship was mutual. This is
Oh,
not.
it was like as soon as Bobby could get it in, he was ready to go.
Yeah.
But in this movie, Sean is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And Diane doesn't seem to give a fuck. She's just like, "Oh, I'm going to get him."
She's a
I'm
cougar.
getting that 18-year-old in me. So we find out her name is Diane, and I wrote, it's also the name of the boat.
Yeah.
Interesting. Who names the boat after themselves?
Oh, only a woman like that.
Diane.
So right on the D.
And we find out that Diane, not exactly a nice person, because some of these nice scenes, she's a real interesting lady.
Yeah.
So she says, yeah, sure, I'll come over, but Sean, you should really come over one day. We should spend some time together. And he's just like, oh, okay. And so she's coming over. So Sean goes home. Oh, I love these. These two ladies in big hats come out.
Yes.
And I wrote, what is going on? Because one of them has a conversation with Sean, which you can only understand maybe half of it. He's like, so you still teaching French? She's like, oh, yep.
Bonnie is what her name is.
I know one's name is Bonnie.
Yeah, Margaret is the other one.
Margaret, yeah. Okay, so he's talking to Bonnie.
Yeah.
I said she talks about teaching French or something. We find out they're friends of the mom because the mom comes out and she's like, what are we doing, ladies? Quit bothering Sean. And then Diane rides up on her bike. And she, all the other ladies go in the backyard and she's like, come on, Sean, you going swimming? And he's like, no, I should stay here and work on my van. So the Diane and mom in the backyard. So this is where it starts to get real weird.
Yes.
Is Diane mentions Sean. And like, hey, how about your son there? He got a girlfriend or anything?
Oh, boy.
And she goes, I know he's attractive. This is the mom. I know he's attractive, even if he's my own son.
Yeah, that was so uncomfortable.
Whoa.
So uncomfortable.
Whoa.
You know, Sean has really grown a lot this year. He is
Positively handsome.
What can I say? I find him attractive, even if he is my own son.
So we find out he doesn't have a girlfriend, and Diane says, I think he'll have his eye on someone real soon. And the mom's just like, well, I don't know.
Hopefully it's you.
So the mom makes Sean come join them at the table. And then I put the lady in the big hat, which is Margaret, comes up. And I love this part. She sits down and she immediately like rips into Diane about, hey, Diane, where's that wandering husband of yours? I can't believe a lady like you is still going out with him. How come you aren't divorced? Like, this is how you start a conversation.
Yeah. Nice poolside conversation. Hello, ladies.
I wrote great conversation starter.
Yeah,
just rips into her.
Say, Diane, what do you hear from that wandering husband of yours?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Why should I? We're separated.
Why don't you just divorce him? I mean, really, I don't understand why a beautiful woman like yourself should waste your life on a bum like him.
And then Diane gets pissed. I mean, a little understandably.
Yeah.
But it's great. Her line delivery here is so good. She goes, oh, Margaret, shut up. Why don't you just mind your own business?
Oh, Margaret, shut up. Why don't you just mind your own business?
And Margaret goes, how dare you talk to me like that? And then her and Bonnie leave. And Margaret, by the way, has the most amazing hat on. It's like it's like a 10-gallon hat with like a floral design on it. I don't know how to explain it others. It looks like a cartoony like cowboy hat, but crossed with a derby hat. It's so odd. It looks like something you'd get at a fair.
And there was a very Malibu High moment in this scene.
Tell me.
Because one of them calls the other a bitch like multiple times, it seems, or it feels like, but it has the same emphasis.
Oh, well, yeah. She goes, okay. So Bonnie and the hat lady, Margaret, leave. I just wrote her as hat lady because she didn't find out her name until this line coming up. The mom looks over and she goes, Diane, you can be really mean. And she goes, me mean? Margaret's a bitch.
Yeah.
She's been bugging me about my husband all year.
All year.
Like every time she sees Margaret, she's like, hey, how's that wandering husband of yours doing? Diane, you're a real slut, you know that? You're a real slut.
I've seen crazy men go in and out your doorway all the time. You got an army of men outside your bedroom, don't you little slut?
Oh, Diane, you can be mean. Know that? Oh, Alice, me? Margaret's a bitch. You know, she's been bugging me about my husband all year. I finally just gave her what she deserved.
I would have loved it if, like, when Margaret was talking, Diane just goes over, takes that hat, and chucks it in the pool or something.
Yeah.
Well, I do like, though, that Bonnie's there. Margaret walks over. She's like, Bonnie, we're leaving. And Bonnie gets out of the pool. She's like, oh, well, that was nice. Bonnie was not ready to leave.
Like, we should do this more often.
Why are we leaving? Oh, did you start something about her getting divorced or something again?
Again?
Then the mom just says something about how Diane and Sean should go swimming together and leaves.
Oh, man.
And I wrote, is she setting them up? Because it sure seemed like it at this point.
Yeah.
So then Diane pushes him into the pool. He gets out and he starts chasing her around and they're screaming. So weird.
Throwing chairs at each other.
I think it's meant to be uncomfortable for a reason. Because it is. It's like he's a child.
It is, yeah.
Because you remember later when we'll get to it. I don't want to ruin it now, but there's a part where he asks her if she wants to do something. I'm like, what are you, 5?
Yeah.
This is crazy. So, yeah, because he chases her around the pool. He's like, and he's like trying to get her. And he tackles her and they get in the pool and they're screaming. And then we just fade to them eating lunch with the mom. Sean keeps going on and on about how he needs to work on his van and get some paneling for it. And Diane apparently has a bunch of paneling at her house. Van paneling.
Yeah.
Just ready to go. She's like, oh, you need paneling? I got tons of paneling.
In
right
a
in the
shack.
Right in the garage, you know? She keeps saying garage. Is it a garage?
No. It is a shack.
She's like, oh, well, when you want to go get it? And Sean's like, oh, how about right now? And the mom's even like, well, come on, Sean, not right now. And she's like, no, it's fine. They haven't even finished lunch yet. And he's like, yeah, let's go right now. I'm ready to go. Earlier I was uncomfortable. Now I want to fuck you.
Yeah.
So he runs in to go change. Maybe he's just excited to get that paneling.
I think that's what it is.
Because he really loves his van.
Yeah.
He runs to go change. Mom tells Diane, I'm so glad he's coming out of it. Lou's death came as quite a shock. And I wrote, did this happen yesterday?
Yeah. He's coming out of it in one day.
Okay, we don't know if time has passed since the last day that we saw, which was the day that Sean's best friend died.
Right.
And the mom says the line, I'm so glad he's coming out of it. Lou's death came as quite a shock. She could have put in something like, it's been a month or 2 months.
No sense of time, no establishing exposition to how much time has passed. Usually that's standard. Even in a Crown film, sometimes it happens. Sometimes. But
no, it's like, it's been 12 hours, Sean. I mean, get over it. What the fuck's wrong with you?
So, in Vietnam era, people weren't affected by such things as much.
Okay. Well, they're definitely not affected by things as much, because the next part of the conversation is Diane tells Sean's mom how Ralph follows her around town.
Yeah.
Because the mom says something like, oh, Diane, you must have men swatting all over you, You must be swatting the hands away. She's like, you wouldn't believe it. There's this guy, this Ralph guy. He follows me all over town. They just don't seem to think that's that weird.
Yeah.
The mom's just like, men.
Oh, they're just real go-getters. They know what they want.
Yeah, it's his way of courting you, You'll succumb to his charm one day.
Yeah, that cutlass he carries around is real charming. Like it's a gentleman's weapon. He's very Civil War.
Yeah, it's very, very Civil War. It's almost like he dug that up or something. How do you get one of those?
He's a Southern gentleman. See,
so it looks like it's got bloodstains from 1800s on it. So Diane and Sean ride their bikes over to her house. And I think, by the way, that they have Diane ride this bike to reinforce that. I honestly think that she's portrayed as a predator in this movie. Because she really is.
Yes, she is.
And the next few scenes, you're going to see she is a child molester in so many ways.
Is.
Like, okay, Sean is 18.
He's an adult.
He is 18. However, the way she seduces him is like how a high school teacher would seduce one of their students.
Mm-hmm.
And all these stories you read about and everything like that, yikes. Like, this is just the blueprint. Imagine, like, Deborah LaFay just, like, watching this movie like, oh, that's how it's done.
You think if this came out now, would be like an after-school special?
This would never come out
now.
No,
it wouldn't.
This would never come out now. Because this relationship, as we'll see, is handled with such levity that it's just, like, nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck. 1974, fuck your teacher, who cares? Boys will be boys.
Here comes the boy.
Yeah, well, zing. So we got to Diane's house. Sean and Diane ride their bikes over. That Predator Diane on her bike. Ralph pulls up in his hearse. Where's the scene without Ralph? Okay, but he makes himself known. I love this part. So they ride up, they get off their bikes in the driveway, and then the hearse rolls up, and Ralph looks right out the window and he goes, "I'm waiting for you, Sean, at the warehouse. You better show up." And Diane goes, "What warehouse? What's he talking about?" And he just goes, I love this part. Sean goes, "I don't know. He's crazy. Where's that paneling?" Again, maybe 911's in order, but
no, priorities are not in line here.
There is something called a restraining order.
Yeah.
We will find out somebody does know a lawyer, which when they hear about a stalker, maybe should be referring work. But we'll get into that.
He's that lawyer. He's not Jewish enough. We need a more Jewish lawyer.
But you know what's more important? Van paneling. Which, by the way, when we see this van paneling, I don't know why the fuck it was put in there, because it doesn't fit at all.
No.
Who wants wood paneling in their own...
And it's black.
This whole fucking point
black
of this.
wood paneling
So
in a van.
Stupid.
Blocks out the windows. Can't see what's going on
Yeah,
inside.
blocks out the windows.
Can't see outside.
They go inside and they get a drink. And Diane sort of forces him to have a drink.
Ugh.
Because she comes in and she's like, "How about a beer?" And he's like, I don't think I should be doing that. Don't think my parents would be approve of that. I'm not even 21. And she's like, "Yeah, quit being a pussy." And she pops open. By the way, the only beer Diane drinks, Coors Banquet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Classy.
In a tall boy can. So
tall boys in the air. Let me see him. Fuck yeah.
She pops open her tall boy Coors with Sean. And he's just like, "So when's your husband getting home?" He's starting to get a little worried about this whole thing.
He's peeking out the blinds. Every sip, oh boy.
So she's like, "Yeah, he's just bumming around on these motorcycles. I'm going to divorce him. Don't tell anybody that yet. But, I could have made my whole confrontation with Margaret a lot easier if I would just tell her I am getting a divorce, but don't want the word going out yet." So he starts drinking that beer, and she chugs it, and she's encouraging him. And then
you can almost see her lifting the bottom of the can up it to his face.
Yes,
there you go, attaboy.
And as soon as he's done, she goes, "You want another?"
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is very creepy. And I believe there's no music during this part.
No.
So you're just focused in on this. And this interaction is very uncomfortable. I don't think it's portrayed sexy at all. Not like in My Tutor where it's full on both are willing. At this point, Sean is not there to have sex with her. He's there for that paneling.
No, there's nothing in the slightest innocence about any of this.
Yeah.
You're not really rooting for anybody here.
Like I said, she is a full-on predator.
Yeah.
And it's handled as such.
Yeah. Whereas My Tutor, it was delicate, I'll say.
Yeah, or My Tutor, Beach Girls, how they handle any sort of sex with a younger person as a conquest almost. Mm-hmm. Or sex with an older person as a conquest, and nothing that's it's not uncomfortable for anybody. Fucking's fucking. Yeah. This movie is Diane is a full-on sexual predator, luring a young boy into her home, getting him drunk, and forcing herself on him. Because the next part, he gets really nervous, and he's like, "I think I should go."
Yeah.
And when he's about to leave, she stops him, and she's like, "What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid of me? Why do you run away from me? Can't we be good friends?" And I'm like, said the priest to the child.
Yeah, right.
Why are you afraid of me, huh? Tell me. Why are you so scared of me? I've been your teacher for 3 years. Every time I ask you over, you just want to run away from me. Can't we be good friends? I like you.
And he goes, "I like you too. Very much." Still very nervous. And she says, "Well, prove it." And this is not done in a sexy way, like it's a porno. It's
it's like a dare.
Yeah, prove it.
Yeah.
I like you very much.
Well, prove it.
And he's like, "How?" And she goes, "Kiss me." And eggs him on. She starts waving her hands "Come on. Come over here. Come on.
Come here, you pussy.
Come on.
Get over here.
Come here, you puss. What are you, little bitch?"
Come over and kiss me, Sean, you bitch.
Get nothing in those pants, I bet.
So,
what is this, an avocado? Because I feel nothing.
Wait, you aren't even hard yet? What's wrong with you?
I'm not going to say it, man. I'm going to say something else. I'm not gonna say it.
So she's egging him on. He gives her a little peck on the cheek. And she's like, come on. And she like waves her hands like, come on, there's more than that. There's more. Come here, you little bitch. So then he gives her a peck on the lips. And she like kind of makes fun of him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's all you got? And he's like, I'm going to go out in the garage, get that paneling. And I just wrote, oh, this is insane. This whole scene is insane. I don't know how anybody would find that titillating.
Not
like,
at
this
all.
is very
She
uncomfortable.
might as well have been like, come on, there's more berry where this juice is.
And this is where I think that Howard Avedis kind of took Crown's notes, because this is obviously a Crown movie and they wanted certain things in it. Guarantee you they wanted a movie about a teacher seducing a young boy.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you they wanted a lot of nudity. And he said, oh, I'll give you a teacher seducing a young boy, but it ain't going to be titillating. It's going to be creepy as hell. Which I applaud him. Like, this is the only movie I've ever seen like this. This is a crazy movie.
Only thing they could have done more is had more like teacher classroom.
Oh God, that's the one point where I think
it?
it's like they couldn't have done it.
Yeah,
like actually having it in the school would have been too much, I think.
Well, I'm not saying it had to have been in the school. I'm saying they could have taken like certain like role playing things and themes like you're in detention.
Well, she does say, she goes, I've been your teacher for 3 years.
Yeah.
Why are you afraid of me? She goes like, I've always looked at you and you always walk away. And it's like, so for 3 years before he was 18, she was thinking about getting that in her.
Yeah.
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 Calling him a little bitch as he walked out of the room.
Yeah.
Whispering under her breath. Come here and fuck me, Sean. You bitch.
Well, I was saying like they couldn't have done like some school classroom role playing. Like she puts a little dunce cap on him, and, like strips him naked and like hits him in the ass with a ruler.
You know, they might as well, because it would have really added to the uncomfortableness of this whole thing.
She's like, Sean, you're late for class. That means you get it. Detention.
Yeah.
Detention is now. By detention, I mean fuck.
Well, he says, I'm going to the garage to get the paneling, but the garage is just some metal shed in the backyard.
Yeah, that's not a garage.
Where Sean pulls out like an 8-foot tall piece of paneling,
which could not have fit in this shack.
No, it could not.
So they had to cut and have it on the outside.
So this is weird because Diane goes into her room and gets naked as flute music plays. Sean gets the paneling out of the shed. Diane just starts showering, which I was like, well, this is odd. She still has a guest over.
Yeah, not to her.
She gets in the shower.
To her, this is being a good host.
Which, by the way, this shower is just kind of like where she washed her legs off with the hose.
Yeah.
She just gets herself wet for a second.
Yeah.
No soap.
No, none. No
and
scrubbing.
And then puts on a robe and brushes her hair, and I put for a long time.
Yeah.
So we could stay on her brushing her hair for a good minute, at least. Then she goes over to the window and watches Sean as he pulls the paneling out. And I put, he really likes this paneling, because he's smiling about it. He's like, yeah, gonna look good in my van. Gonna go let Pizza Pilot pick up some chicks. Then she goes, Sean, will you come here a minute? And he looks very uncomfortable.
He's
by
not
the
happy.
proposition. No. But he decides to go in, and they sit on the bed together. And I wrote, he is not comfortable. He's like, he really wants to leave. And she's like, she starts massaging his shoulder. She's like, hey, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, you little fucking bitch? And she starts kissing his neck and undoing his shirt. And he actually says, stop, Diane. He uses the words, stop. And she goes, I thought you liked me. And he goes, I do, very much. And she goes, have you ever made love before? He screams no and tries to run off.
No, Diane, please don't.
Oh, I thought you liked me.
Oh, I do, very much, but...
But what? Tell me, huh? Have you ever made love before?
No.
Oh, Sean, please don't go. I haven't made love to anyone since my husband left me. And I like you and trust you. Come here.
She doesn't take no for an answer.
Come over here, Sean. You're being a pussy. So I wrote, she then forces him to come over and rapes him.
Oh, my God.
So when they have the sex scene in this movie, so they start kind of like rolling around on the bed a little bit. Then we see that Ralph's there, and he's watching from the window, and he is not happy. We cut to
in plain sight.
Oh yeah, if they had looked,
like you could,
they would have noticed his shadow.
You could see the fog on the window on the glass from his breath.
He like blocks the sun coming into the room. They're like, oh, what's that? Oh my god. But Sean and Diane, they're not interested. They get to ballin'. And Sean keeps asking what she's doing. So she's like still kind of like clawing at him and taking his clothes off. He's like, what are you doing, Diane? What are you doing? And this is where it starts to get real weird.
Yeah.
Is this sex scene, the sex scenes in this movie they're not long, but they go on for a while. But the problem is they're very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because there's like no nudity in the sex scenes. It's not titillating. It's more creepy because there's no music. And in this sex scene, she keeps saying, touch me.
Yeah.
I want you to touch me.
Yeah.
Take off your shirt. Touch me.
And she like
touch
yells
me.
at him,
Yeah.
take off your shirt.
Yeah, it's starting to get real uncomfortable. And it's like she
I want to
just
feel
needs,
you. I want to feel you.
She needs a man or something like that because her husband's not around.
Yeah.
And she just needs to be fulfilled this way. And it's really creepy because you can tell it's not about Sean at all. It's all about Diane.
Yes, she's
she
very
has
selfish.
her name written on the boat. She's a huge narcissist.
Yes.
And she's just like, touch me, take off your shirt. Yes, I want it that way. So I put, they start to bawl for a while. And then she almost starts crying in the middle of it and yells, hold me, over and over and over.
She's fucked in the head.
Like, this is fucking crazy. This is one of the few times, like, I'm always uncomfortable with a crowd sex scene.
Yeah.
But this is like a new level of like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Usually it's rolling around and lots of back and ankle. This is just like the woman, her like moaning and yelling.
Yeah. No music.
Yeah.
And you just hear this and it's like I said, no nudity. She's just on top of him, like smothering him, saying this to him.
Yeah.
And I think it's all intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It's made to be very uncomfortable.
You really think? Yes,
I do.
Wow.
She does play the predator.
Yeah.
She's never... There's a reason things happen the way they do in this movie. I really believe that because this guy is... I mean, look, the quality of the movie is not great in terms of production values. 12 days, this is what you get.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the script was written really quickly. But there's a reason that things happen to people the way they do in this movie. I truly believe that.
I just thought maybe the quote-unquote romance was just poorly executed.
I don't think so. I think he's... Knowing from watching his other movies, it's very intentional.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, so it's uncomfortable on purpose. And like I said, things happen, I think, for a reason. We'll get to that. But I think that actions that happen are deserved in a way.
Okay, so if you are at all titillated by this,
I think that's it. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be if you're titillated by this, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think there's any nudity in the sex scenes.
Yeah.
There's nudity. And when we get into other things, it starts to get a little bit more... levity to the whole situation and things are not taken as seriously, and I think that's also intentional.
Yeah,
and we'll start to discuss that. So
okay,
so we watch them for a while even after they're done. So this is another thing, is like never do we see like a post-coital type of conversation usually, because we watch the entire act, which I'm sure Chris wrote down, Sean is a quick finish.
I didn't comment, but I did observe it. I'm like, wait, that was it? I looked down at my watch.
At least he didn't ask her, how am I doing?
Oh, yeah.
And he says, would you like to do that again? And she says, once is enough.
Said no man ever.
No, that's what she says.
Oh, I thought that's what he said.
No, once is enough.
Oh.
She's in control of this relationship.
Yeah, she is.
So Sean then stares at a picture of her husband on a motorcycle that is for some reason on a poster on the wall. So throughout her house, she has posters of her husband on these motorcycles.
I thought that was like some musician.
No, it's her husband.
First. Oh, God.
Because then they have another one in the living room with her and her husband.
Yeah.
And they're posters.
It's so weird.
Who gets a picture of themselves as a poster? Narcissists.
Yeah.
So Sean says he has to go because his dad's coming home soon. And she says, hey, we should go out to my boat tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, it's great. So when he's leaving, she says the line, Sean, it was very tender.
Yeah.
And he says, bye, Diane. And I was like, whoa.
Jesus Christ.
This is crazy. Cut to the docks. Must be the next day. Because time passes in this movie and we have no fucking clue what's going on.
I wish they would have like shown the docks and like the body is still somewhat fresh. There's like some
Lou's
seagulls
still out there.
Yeah.
What if somebody's gonna come pick him up? So we watch as Sean and Diane get into the boat. We zoom into the warehouse where Ralph is watching them now with a like telescope, like a ship telescope type thing. What's that? Like
Periscope?
a spyglass.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he gets something out of the coffin, like a change of clothes.
Yes, it's a scuba outfit.
Yeah.
Where do you...
Love this part. Sean and Diane are sunbathing on the boat. We find out that these clothes he pulled out, it's a scuba suit. Yeah, so he starts putting on this scuba suit. And Diane and Sean, they start making out. I like this part, though. They're in the boat, okay? And Sean's, like, holding this tray of sandwiches and beers. And she's like, come on, Sean, fuck me. And he's like, oh, I'm really hungry. I want to eat this sandwich.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's time for that later.
And she's like, I've decided.
Yeah, and he's like, but I really want my sandwich.
Well, better to eat it later than get a cramp.
Well, Sean, fuck me first, and then you get your sandwich.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, if she's doing
Be
him
a
a
good
favor,
little boy.
She is doing him a favor. You will get a cramp.
Real motherly figure. So Ralph runs. He's running down the dock in this scuba suit now, carrying a pair of fins. Then we cut to Sean and the teacher bawling. And this is where I said things start to get a little more lighthearted in this point because they're kind of joking around.
Yeah.
And I also wrote always a quick finish for Sean.
Yep. Well, you wanted that fucking lunch. Yeah. He was looking at the lunch
Like,
the whole time.
Sandwich.
Well, you're right, Diane. I'm really hungry after.
Yeah.
So there's that part where she's like, help me put my top back on. He's like, okay, how do you tie this deal? And
Yeah.
Oh, there's two of them. Oh, my God. For us men, we just pull up our pants and we're done.
Some of us don't even wear underwear.
So while he puts on her top, Ralph like peers over the front of the boat at them through the window in his scuba suit. Then they open the back door to the cabin of the boat, and Ralph is standing there holding a spear like he's gonna stab him.
Yeah.
Like this is Jason Takes Manhattan or something.
It was. I thought the same thing.
And then he, for some reason, decides not to. And I think it's maybe because the teacher was the first one to come out.
Yeah.
Because Diane came out, and he never wants to hurt Diane. But then he chickens out and he dives off. And Sean goes, I'll go after him. And the teacher's like, no. Yes, Sean. Go after the guy with the harpoon who was going to stab you. Good idea. How about, I got three numbers for you. 9, 1, 1.
And he's like, we're nothing but underwear. Like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him.
Watch me, Diane. I'm going to be a man.
Let me finish my lunch first.
Okay, so then we go to Sean's house. Sean he putting that panel in his van, real excited. And the mom's like, I'm going to take off. I'm going to Diane's. And he's like, all right. Then Ralph shows up. Sean runs around. He's in his van, right? And then he sees Ralph through a window.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he runs away, but then he gets bored. Like Sean gets bored. Like he maybe runs through 2 rooms, then he goes, guess that's over. And he just he stops in the garage
Here's what
door.
I love about these shots is that, Sean, he looks up at the window, no one's there, but he looks back up, Ralph's there, we come back to Sean, come back to the window, all of a sudden Ralph's gone.
Yeah.
Like there's no transition between Ralph disappearing. Like he just vanished out of thin air.
Yeah. But then it shows him again one time.
Yeah.
And then Sean runs. And then he, like I said, he runs through like maybe 2 rooms, gets bored, stops running, and I guess he's like, I guess he's gone.
Yeah.
And then the phone rings, and Sean with his delivery, hey, Mom! Because the only person who ever calls is Mom, right?
Yeah.
So Diane and Mom want him to come over and have lunch. And he's like, I really should stay home and work on my van. He's always got to work on that van. Because he always wants to do boy things, but they always want him to do man things. Okay, so Diane gets on the phone, all right? And now, keep in mind, Sean's mom is in the room with her when she says, well, Sean, if you're not going to come to lunch, then at least let me take you out to dinner.
Oh, boy.
And Sean says in a great line delivery, well, that's an offer I can't refuse.
That's an offer I can't refuse.
And his mom's okay with it, too.
Yeah.
She's
standing there.
Yeah.
Doesn't think it's weird.
Nope.
She doesn't even say a word at this point.
Oh, they're just good neighbors. They're just good friends.
Because after she hangs up, Mom goes, I think there's something up with Sean. Diane, could you figure out what's wrong with him? Oh, I think she has.
Yep. Yeah, he finishes in 10 seconds.
Yeah, there's something wrong with your boy. Let me tell you. So Sean and Diane go to dinner. All right, now this is where it gets very uncomfortable as well. So Sean and Diane go to dinner in this restaurant, right?
Yeah.
But I love this part is they were walking to a table holding hands, and the waitress behind them following has the blankest look. Like, she needs to hit that mark so bad.
Yeah.
She's just like, okay, step. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
It's like you can see her thinking so hard through this.
It's like, I'm sure like the mark was like fluorescent pink tape that you could not miss even if it was in your peripheral, but she's just focused on hitting that shit.
Yes. And did you notice she does a real dangerous med?
Yeah.
She's like, all right, I'll get your beer and your soda.
Yep.
She says something like, oh, well, what do you want to drink? And she's like, oh, I'll take a bottle of this. And she's like, oh, I can't serve him. And she's like, oh, the bottle's for me.
Oh,
I'll drink a whole one to myself. Sean will have a soda.
Oh,
and
God.
so they go on. They start cuddling at the table.
Well, here's the thing that's funny
Okay.
is that the waitress recognizes Sean.
You're right. She does say,
Yeah.
I can't serve Sean.
Yes. And so it's okay. Then Diane continues to give a lot of PDA
Yeah.
at this point.
Oh,
and
they're
open.
very open
Yes.
with the relationship at this point. She's cuddling
Yes.
them all over the table and everything like that. And so we finally get a reaction of somebody not liking this.
Yeah.
Is two old ladies sitting across the restaurant look over and they're like, oh my God, look at it. She could be his mother. And then she goes, one of the ladies goes, that's the so-and-so boy. And she goes, you mean the one who murdered his friend?
Got away with it?
So Sean around town is known as the murderer at this point. And then Sean notices and he looks over at Diane. He's like, yeah, we're being talked about. And Diane's response is, who cares?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So we cut between them having dinner and the old ladies gawking. At one point, they toast the old ladies and they're aghast at it. Like, oh my God.
How dare they? So indecent.
And they keep playing footsie high enough so the ladies could see them. Really salacious.
Really exhibition. Yeah.
Okay. Then we cut to Sean's house. And the mom and the dad are sitting on the patio, which is the only place they ever are in Sean's house. And the dad, in these great line deliveries, is really mad about Sean. He's like, I can't believe Sean's going out with this woman. And the mom's just like, it's all right. The dad says something like, you know, she's a married woman.
Yeah.
You think it's all right for our 18-year-old boy to be hanging out with a married woman who's 28 years old, who's a friend of yours.
Yeah, and she's just like naive
and his
about it.
teacher.
Yeah, he's like, well, whatever gets him out of the house.
So, yeah, well, okay. Yes. Because the dad's not happy about it.
Yeah.
And the mom says something like, yeah, whatever gets him out of the house. By the way, so what if they are together? And I wrote, so she knows they're having sex?
Yeah.
And she says, let him learn to be a man.
Oh, my God.
And the dad says, in the best delivery, boy, I wish my parents let me be a man. My mother's girlfriends. How about that?
Let him learn to be a man. Oh, boy. Wish my folks had let me learn to be a man. A lot of women. My mother's girlfriends. I don't know.
So the mom seems to be real progressive about this whole thing in terms of, yeah, it's all right. She's just a close personal friend of mine, but why can't my son fuck her?
Damn it, man.
Her husband's just some drifter. So we cut back to Diane and Sean at dinner, and they are like super drunk at the table. And at this point, the restaurant's totally closed, and they're closing it down. They leave, and Diane is so drunk she can't even have two shoes on. She starts walking out like one high heel on, and she's like hobbling, and he's carrying the other. And there's that weird scene where he puts it on for her.
Yeah.
And she's like screaming, like,
yeah. Well, he puts his face down there, and I'm like, what the hell's going on down there?
And the restaurant staff is watching that.
Yeah, the staff that knows who Bobby, I mean, not Sean, who Sean is, not Bobby. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay, and I write at this point, like, do you think that Diane should be driving?
No.
She's so drunk she can't even put her shoes on.
And like Sean willfully escorts her to her driver's side.
Gets her in the car.
Yeah.
They start making out hardcore in the car, and he's just like going on about how he likes her. And then she even points at sometimes she's like, "Oh my God, I need to drive home." But before they pull away, she puts up her lights, and Ralph walks out from behind a dumpster.
Like, and you want to know, like, how long was he waiting behind that dumpster?
That's what I wrote.
Like, was he eating like scraps for dinner?
I would have loved it if at one point somebody walks out like, "Sir, do you need a table or something?" No. Are you sure you want something to go? Or yeah, y'all have a burger.
I just pictured
a burger.
I pictured a dead rat in between two baguettes and just like eating it like a delicacy.
He cuts it with his bayonet. All of a sudden somebody comes out and goes, "Have you seen Diane?" And he's holding up his big bayonet. Oh yeah, she's eating inside with her new boyfriend, playing footsie over at the table, real drunk. Just wait for her out here. She'll be out in a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, this dumpster's nice and warm. You put all the hot dough back there. We don't use it later in the night.
Ralphie stands in front of the car, and he says, "Let me have him, Diane, and I'll let you go." Whoa. So it's starting to get a little bit more serious. Sean, like an idiot, gets out of the car to confront him. And Ralph says, "Assassins have to pay for their crime. You killed Lou, and now I'm going to kill you."
Ralph is just so... Wow. There's no convincing him otherwise.
No, there are so many themes in this movie of like just jealousy and seduction and like who is right and who is wrong. It's very crazy, the morals in this movie. So he pulls out his big bayonet. Then Sean fights him and manages to get away. And they drive off, and Ralph's left there screaming, and he starts screaming, "I hate you, you bitch. I hate you, Diane, you bitch." And he's screaming it over and over, and he chucks his bayonet on the ground.
"Diane! I hate you! I hate you! You bitch! You bitch!"
Cut back to Sean's house. Diane and Sean come home. They walk into the backyard, and they tell their parents that Ralph tried to beat up and stab Sean. The only reason they do this is because they walk through, and Sean's mom's like, "Sean, what happened to your face? You're all cut up and everything." And they're like, this guy, he came and attacked us. And the dad, rightfully so, is like, "Let's call the cops."
Yeah.
Sean says no, and he comes clean about the whole thing, tells him the whole story, what happened in the beginning. And he even tells about the part when they were spying on Diane, which she doesn't seem that upset about. She's just like, "Yeah, he was curious. Good." And the dad says, "I don't blame you for being ashamed. A peeping Tom." This guy's amazing.
"I don't blame you for being ashamed. A peeping Tom."
His deliveries and his lines. Sean's like, "Oh, it was an accident. I didn't mean to kill Lou." The dad still wants to call the sheriff, and he's like, "Come on, we'll tell him the truth. It'll be fine." And he's trying to convince everybody, and they're just like, "No, don't call it." And then the mom says, "My brother's a lawyer." Now, earlier, when Diane said, "This creepy guy's following me," never once does the mom go, "Hey, my brother's a lawyer. Maybe we should talk to him, see if we get some restraining order going or anything like this." No. Nobody wants to go to any sort of authority figure in this movie. Like it's some sort of Van Damme action movie where we just take care of shit ourselves.
Yeah,
like,
Savage
this is crazy.
Streets.
Yeah.
Linda Blair's going to come and kick some ass. Not before a shower or taking a bath topless, though. That's what this movie needed. Was Sean taking a shower naked. With "Justice for One" playing in the background.
Oh, it would have been great. Yeah, so they say, "Oh, it's Ralph," and the dad just goes off on this great tangent where he's like, "Ralph, that weirdo. I can't believe that guy. He's a loose cannon."
But that Ralph, he's a weirdo. Sooner he's put away, the better.
And it's like, well, now the dad's the only one making sense in this movie. Yeah. So then we cut to Sean's house the next day. Parents and Sean walk out of the house. The parents are in their formal wear, and they're running late for something. He's like, "Come on, Alice, we gotta go."
Like, we don't know where they're going.
No, we never find out.
Makes no sense.
And Sean's like, "Hey, maybe I should go with you guys." And the mom's like, "Yeah, maybe you should go with us." And now the dad doesn't give a shit. Although the last scene, he was the only one like, "Be safe."
Yeah.
Now he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. Wherever they're going is more important than Sean. And he's like, "I'm not going to bring him. This he's not even dressed. I mean, come on."
Not even dressed.
The dad tells Sean, he's like, "Don't worry about it. It's just this guy. Just stay in the house." He goes, "Stay in the house. I mean, this house." No. So then Diane comes over riding her bike again. Her theme song plays from the beginning of the movie. Sean's van is finally ready. He's got the paneling in. And they take a look at it and he's like, isn't it great? And she's like, yeah. No, it's not.
No.
The paneling doesn't fit at all. It looks terrible.
It's black.
The fact that he would take like however long to put this in there. Looks like he just cut it and threw it against the wall and was like, hey, maybe I'll hang a picture. Put it in a toaster.
Put a black light on it.
You know, all this van needs right now, Diane, is some shag carpeting. All right, so they go for a ride in his van. Then they come back home. And Sean's apparently a really bad driver because Diane's all like dizzy. She's like, and he's like, what, you don't like my driving? She's like, hey. They go to Diane's house, which I couldn't figure out where they were at first.
Yeah.
I thought they went back to Sean's house.
I did too.
Yeah, but they're at Diane's house, which was very confusing because I didn't know she had a pool either.
No. Which, like, yeah, why don't they just go to her pool and swim? Like, the whole family.
Exactly. We go to Diane's house. I said, it's hard to tell that they came here.
Wait. I thought they were, like, next door neighbors.
Not really, because they don't ever walk right next door. They have to ride their bike over.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
They're neighbors, but I think maybe on the same street.
Because I heard someone say in the film, like, yeah, your next door neighbor, the teacher. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
he says your neighbor, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was established for next door, but whatever.
So we cut to Diane's house. They're inside. They're going to go swimming. She pulls out the Coors banquets again. Mm-hmm. He says, okay, this part doesn't make sense. As he goes, I'm going to get my trunks. They're in the van. And you think like, oh, maybe there's going to be a confrontation. No. She goes in the pool with her beers. And then he just comes out ready to swim. And that's that. So Sean comes out. And I put, why did they even have that part with the trunks in the van? Made no sense.
Runtime.
I wrote runtime, baby.
Yeah.
Yep. We watched them splash around for a while to the theme song from the movie. Then, this is where I was going to say, it goes back into weirdness, because Sean goes, hey, why don't we go play hide and go seek? You hide and I'll seek, okay? And she's like, that sounds like a great idea.
Because this is the closest thing they get to any kind of playful
but like
element
what
of
a
the relationship.
5-year-old would do.
Yeah, exactly.
No adult relationship at this point is like, let's go play hide and go seek. Mm-hmm. They're going to drink their beers in the pool, have a good time. Not play hide and go seek. That's an odd choice, I thought, but I think intentional.
Yeah.
So they cut to the front of the house, and Ralph sneaks into the van. Diane goes off hiding in the house. Sean, he runs through the house and finds her in the bedroom twirling an umbrella.
A parasol.
And Sean comes in and delivers this amazing line where he goes, come on, it's bad luck to open an umbrella in the house. Oh boy, is it. No. So they play some weird game where he like takes the umbrella away from her and starts like undoing her towel.
And she's pretending to be a statue.
Yeah. And
she's
then
standing still and it's like fascinating. Oh boy, I get to have this all to myself. She's not going to move. I'll just undrape her.
So then he starts like chirping and attacks her, and she's like, I give in. Then they have a sex scene with no music.
A very short one as well.
Yeah, always a quick finish.
Yeah.
Then they have some useless pillow talk, but then it goes into Sean, and he says, I love you. And she says, I love you too. And he says something about them getting married one day, and I just wrote, yikes.
Yeah.
And she says, you might change your mind about me. I'm much older than you. And he says, I'll never change my mind about you.
Boy. Yeah, he's an old 18. She's a young 29.
Damn.
You know,
this is like, well, this is just like in My Tutor when he's like, remember when he goes, I'll forget you, and she goes, no, you won't.
Yeah. This is just this reverse.
Yeah, I wrote this starts to get really creepy, but then thankfully the phone rings and Sean goes, oh, that must be my mom.
Yeah,
and runs out and he goes, hi, Mom, when he answers the phone, and the voice on the other end is a man, and it says, who's this?
Yeah.
It's Diane's ex-husband, Russ. He says he's coming home soon. He's like, who's this? Oh, hey, Sean, how you doing? Hey, I'm going to see you soon. I'm coming home in a few days.
I love that Russ doesn't even question why Sean is answering the phone at his own house.
Come on now. He wouldn't know. It's a family friend. Unlike the mom, he wouldn't assume that he's fucking his wife.
Yeah. But still.
Because why would he? He's a child.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you're right. It is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But he's a freewheeler, you know?
Yeah.
How many women was he fucking on those motorcycles, you know? He's out wheeling and dealing around town
Literally
here.
on the motorcycle.
He met that lady from Van Nuys.
Mm-hmm.
So Diane gets on the phone with Russ, and she's not too happy with him. And he's like, hey, I'm coming home, baby. And he keeps saying this, hey, baby, I'm coming home. And she's like, I don't know, I'm pissed off. And he's like, come on now, you know I love you. And she's like, I love you too. And he's like, come on, baby, don't be that way.
I've been missing you so much, baby. I can't wait to see you.
But do you really care?
Oh, come on, baby. Don't be that way. I love you. I've been missing you like crazy.
And while he's saying this, Sean gets all bummed when she says she loves him. And he goes outside and he gets in his van. But Ralph's in the van. And he pulls out that big bayonet.
Oh, fuck. It's
and
over.
He tells Sean, drive to the warehouse. Diane's on the phone. She tells Russ, I'm divorcing you. And he goes, hold on. And she hangs up like mid-sentence. Then she throws a ring on the counter. And I wrote, I think it fell into the sink. Because it goes ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding.
Well, she's not taking that back to the pawn
fuck
shop.
it.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a real diamond.
I'm divorcing you. Goodbye.
Hey, wait a minute.
So she calls out for Sean, but he's not there. She goes outside and she sees his car is missing, or his van's missing, but she sees the hearse outside. And I love this. So they play the chase music, but this is my favorite part is Diane apparently has time to go inside and change. So even though...
And it's like a Black Knighty looking thing, too.
If only she was a few minutes earlier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But again, she's so fucking narcissistic, she has to go inside, change her clothes before she goes out on this chase. So a good couple minutes gets wasted as she puts on this jumper. We cut to the warehouse. Ralph and Sean arrive.
Thank God we don't show them going up the warehouse again. Or do we?
Well, we do, a little bit.
But yeah.
I love this part, though, when he gives him a dog collar with a leash, and he goes, put this on, you pig. And then he puts it on and goes, tighter, damn you.
Put this on, you pig. Tighter, damn you.
And like Ralph has him on a leash at this point. I would have loved it if he made him get on all fours. And then we watched the whole warehouse walk up while Sean's crawling.
He tells him, now beg. And has him do the
Come
whole
on,
thing.
roll over, roll over. Paw.
Now lick your balls.
Lick them, damn you. Yeah. So Ralph pushes him up the stairs. They get into the first room, and then Sean pushes him, and he runs off to the secret room. Which is like, why would he go to the secret room, by the way? Just run away.
Yeah.
Well, I guess these docks are in the middle of the dump or wherever the fuck they are. Sean runs up to the secret room. He digs through the casket, and he grabs a rifle. He loads it, and he aims it at the door. And then Ralph walks in. And he keeps saying, he's like, one more step and I'll shoot. Come on, you crazy son of a bitch. God damn it, I made it. And he shoots. And this part makes no sense. He shoots. And nothing happens. It's a blank?
Yeah.
And I wrote, who has a blank rifle shell and why?
That's what was in the grave when you robbed it. Obviously.
Who goes out and goes like, I want a rifle, but only give me blanks. I want to put some fear into people.
Yeah, you
but-
know. Nothing scares someone more than hearing the sound of a rifle cocking in the background. That's something that keeps the riffraff away.
By the way, a blank can still hurt you.
It can. Just
Killed
ask,
Brandon Lee.
Ask Brandon Lee, yes. Yes.
So Ralph says, it's a blank, stupid. And then he lunges at him and they get in a fight. And then Ralph chokes him out with this blank stare. He's like got the 1,000-yard stare. And he just chokes out Sean. And then Diane arrives in the parking lot. And then the next thing we see, it's very confusing at this point, is Ralph puts Sean on the ground and he has blood on his face now. But we didn't see anything happen other than him choking him out. And then Ralph like takes some blood off his lip and looks at it. And then starts dragging his body to the outside platform where Lou fell off. Diane parks and looks around. And Ralph sees her from the platform. And he perks up. He's all excited. She's here, you know. So he puts Sean outside on the platform. And he closes the door. And I love this part where he pretends to be Sean. And the only way he disguises his voice is not at all.
Yeah.
By just covering his mouth with his
I
hand.
love that.
And he goes, so this would be him regularly going, Diane. But he just goes, Diane. Doesn't even really change at all. But somehow she thinks it's Sean. Doesn't even sound anything like him. He doesn't have that whiny bitch voice that Sean has.
She doesn't recognize his weight without her straddling him naked.
She's like, Sean, where are you? Where are you? Diane.
I can't hear you over the sound of me moaning.
But then we watch, and this is the longest of the warehouse scenes, is we watch Diane go through the warehouse, the whole warehouse, because it's like 5 minutes, and I'm not kidding, 5 minutes of her walking through vacant factories, and like there's a part where she stops and is like, oh, get something on my foot. Like,
it's like, they're already going to have a 93-minute runtime. Why do we need to stretch this out any longer? Like, really?
I guess trying to build tension, who knows? Yeah. Diane comes into the creep room and she sees the red casket and then she immediately starts crying, which I was like, well, just because there's a casket doesn't mean he's dead.
Yeah,
like,
I think that was automatically she thought that's where he was and it was dead.
Like he would bring up a casket for the occasion.
So
what a nice killer, by the way. He's already got the casket ready. You know, he can.
He wants to exhibit. He wants it to be a spectacle.
He definitely does.
Yeah.
So she bends down and she sees blood on the floor, but then Ralph pops out of the casket and he's got this big smile on his face. He goes, I'm sorry, Diane. I didn't mean to scare you. And he says that as he pulls out the bayonet. The big old bayonet. Oh, Diane, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. Big knife.
Yeah. Well, coming through. Watch your face.
And she's like, Ralph, where's Sean? And he responds with, oh, he's gone. He's gone with my brother Lou. So you and I, we can be together. Then Ralph starts touching her. And she's like, oh, no. And she tries to run away. And he's like, no, Diane, stop. And he starts like caressing her and touching her. And he puts his head in her lap. And she's like, she goes, Stockholm Syndrome style. She's like, you don't need that bayonet with me. You don't need it. So he puts it down. And then he starts feeling her up. And he lays down on top of her, on top of the coffin. It gets so uncomfortable. And he's just like, I want you so much. I love you, Diane. And he keeps saying this over and over. He's on top of her and he keeps saying this creepy shit. And I wrote, is he having sex with her?
I couldn't tell.
All of a sudden she starts going like they're having sex or something.
Yeah.
But while this is happening, so I was like, I guess he's raping her?
Yeah.
And while he's doing this, he's like, how come you never loved me? I'm like, this is all insane. She grabs the bayonet and stabs him, and he's dead. But he takes like a while to die, He goes on the ground and he's like, like you're doing this long look,
Like Dangerous Men style.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out.
So Diane's crying and she's screaming. She runs out on the platform and she finds Sean and he's dead.
Yeah.
She holds him in her arms and starts crying, and the camera gets kind of shaky, and then it freeze frames on her holding him. And then it's like a slow fade in to the outside of the warehouse and roll credits.
Yep. With silence.
Yeah.
Music stops and we just have silence.
It's really crazy.
It's unsettling. It's an unsettling ending.
I just wrote, I wonder if she gets back with her ex-husband. So, like I was saying earlier, I do think that it's kind of a morality play in this movie. And I think that the reason that things happen is for a reason.
Yes, everything must be paid back in full.
I think that the relationship between the teacher and Sean is not portrayed as being a good thing. It's given a lighthearted attitude in some ways, and I think that's almost to kind of lure you into it. It's like, oh, well, if other people think it's fine, then maybe it's okay. But we constantly be reminded about how inappropriate it actually is.
Yeah.
And I also think that the Vietnam thing is not handled, like the PTSD is not handled like he's crazy. I feel like that nobody wants to help this man.
Yeah.
And I think he is a crazy guy and people just don't take it seriously. And that's why he ends up doing something really bad. But if people would have just reached out and done something, maybe he wouldn't have killed these people.
Perfect. And you think, was this film meant to be a commentary for that?
I think that
as a sex film.
Yes. I think this movie was disguised as something completely different, and why it was received so bad is because he wrapped this bizarre story and commentary into what should have just been an exploitation sex movie about a kid screwing his teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that crowd was happy with the end result. Like, I would think that maybe they would be kind of upset about not getting what they bargained for.
Oh, yeah. Because you're not smiling at the end of this. You're like, oh, this is fucked up.
However, he did make a movie before for Crown, like I said, The Stepmother, and that movie is also... Whew.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I do think that there's a reason that Sean dies. And I think he dies because somebody has to pay for the sins.
Yeah, there's always a human sacrifice in one of these films.
And I think it's kind of like even worse that Angel's not killed and that she had preyed on him and done all these things. And as a result, he's the one who dies.
Yes.
Because he's the victim. In all of this, she was not the victim.
Yeah.
Him stalking her and everything like that, and ended up being Sean who was the real victim of it all. So I think it's fascinating. I actually think this is a really fascinating movie.
It is.
I think it's better than typical exploitation fare, and I think it should be looked at as more of a comment than just a weird, funny, bad movie.
Yeah, I don't want to use the word portrait of the times, but in relation to post-Vietnam.
And I think there's a reason that it stars Dennis the Menace.
Yeah.
Because you have the ultimate innocent child being corrupted in this horrible way, and he ends up dead in the end. So, like, I do think, if you look at it, to me at least, it seems very intentional, almost everything that happens.
Yeah, because it already has a built-in sentimental attachment with him being into it. People are like, okay, yeah, I remember this kid, I bring good fond memories of this innocent era of...
The LA Times review of...
Yeah.
The only thing we remember him from is Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, and they're going in with that built-in sentimentality.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be soiled completely, but on purpose.
Yes.
On purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant now.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of, like, Spring Breakers.
Yeah.
How Harmony Korine took those girls that were all from Disney Channel movies and then our TV shows and then put them into a movie where they're doing horrible things and are horrible people and they're being corrupted, and it was exactly the opposite of what you would expect them to be in.
Right.
So
this is that.
I think it's a misunderstood movie. As far as my recommendation, I definitely recommend
Absolutely.
it. You as well.
Yes.
Glad to hear that.
I loved it.
I didn't know what you were going to think.
No, I thought it was fantastic.
I really didn't know what to think because it's not funny at all. It's not even Malibu High-esque in terms of like with that many quotable lines or anything. I really hope this made a entertaining podcast, at least for the audience. I'm not sure. Would love to hear what you think about this one.
Yeah. It can definitely be a head scratcher for many people that are going into it going, well, I didn't get a boner. What's going on here,
I think that's the whole point.
Yeah.
I think, because I've seen his other movies, and they are all mind fucks like this. He has these bizarre actions, and emotions are handled in these really odd ways, and I find it fascinating. I really like his movies, and I think he's a very interesting writer and director.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it was entertaining for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, do we even hear the straight arrow?
Oh, I do. I hear.
Oh shit,
Chris, you're telling me you didn't see that lamp just short out in the corner?
No. And as always, Chris, they show up all the time. I'm telling you, they're hiding right behind a fence, waiting for us to end, and DeVito's like, Bobby, now! And they pull up and...
If you've never joined us before, Chris and I always reference the first show we ever did, which was 1977's The Van, and try to figure out how the Van characters, Bobby, the main character, and Danny DeVito, his boss at the car wash, fit into every single one of our movies. They always seem to ride around in that straight arrow van of theirs and get in all sorts of trouble. So I have an idea.
I do too.
All right, let's hear yours.
Okay. So we're going to have an epilogue of this film. And after the credits roll, the screen comes on. It's a tow truck. The parents are crying over Sean. The tow truck takes away the van, all of Sean's possessions. We follow this van. This music is very emotional. And we see these crane shots of the van going through these hills, this tow truck, these mountainous areas. And we go through different sceneries. we end up, we see it cruising along the beach, still attached to the tow truck. And we see this montage of this van getting kind of repaired, put together.
Damn you, this is my exact idea.
And we see this montage of the paint job going on. You see this montage of this big dome window being installed. And then we do this kind of
the paneling being ripped out.
Yeah, the paneling gets ripped out. You see this shag getting put in.
And mirrors.
Yes, and we do the slow pan from the bubble dome window to this blue, red, and black thing, but it doesn't have the word straight arrow yet. It's still being worked on.
And we just hear the echo of, and more, more, more.
Actually, it was going to cut to black, and then we hear, and more. And that's how it's going to end.
And that's how this movie ends.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, if you stayed after the credits, that's exactly what happened. So, thanks again for joining us on another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
You can find us online at grindhousefilm.com. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And if you find us on iTunes, you like the show, we'd really, really appreciate it if you rate and review us.
And don't forget on iTunes to hit that big rectangular subscribe button. Hit that. Tell your friends to hit that. And tell your friends, parents to hit that as well. The button, I mean.
Oh.
And don't forget to visit the website again. Comment. We'd love to hear your comments as well.
Yeah, leave us some comments. We've had some discussion going on the website, mostly Twitter that people will talk to us, but everywhere. We'd like to hear. I've been getting a lot of emails, by the way.
Yeah.
Lots of emails from people trying to line up some interviews in the future. So, and again, if you have any suggestions, comments, anything else, suggestions for movies, let us know.
Mm-hmm. Bobby, park the van.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I need the key. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Where's head and knockers? This book ain't got no real poetry. Brenda.